Hello and welcome back to Truth, Lies and Hair Ties. This is Marineland Part 2. I know it's taken a while to get this second part out. Again, there is a lot more information to get through. Today, the hairstyle that I'm going to be creating whilst talking about Marineland is almost like, I guess, quite a period drama hairstyle, maybe slightly Jane Austen. So we're going to have a nice little bun at the top here. We're going to leave out 2 bits of hair, braid those, and then kind of loop it round. So underneath, you're just going to have 2 little rows of braids, which hopefully should look quite cute. Now, as you can see, I have sort of curled my hair, but I didn't want it tight curl, so it's quite nice and wavy. I use this by getting bendy rollers, and then at the end of the day I took the rollers out, and then I basically just used these bobby pins to pin it to my head, sleep on it, and then in the morning it's given me quite a lot of body, which is exactly what I needed. Today you're going to need 3 hair ties. 2 of them is just going to be tying the rest of the hair out of the way whilst you create the bun, and then lots of bobby pins. So we're going to talk about John Holer, the founder of Marineland. He was born in 1935 with the name Ivan Hologem. He was a Slovenian-Canadian businessman. He actually escaped across the border into Austria after communists took over his family farm. There he worked at a winery for a bit before going to Germany to train with animals at Circus Krone, which was a very popular circus at the time. Holler eventually ended up migrating to Canada in 1957. He and a work colleague came up with an idea of an underwater submarine ride, which actually sounds pretty cool, and they were able to sell this idea to Walt Disney Company for 14,000 Canadian dollars. Just for an idea, that's not bad at all. And of course, this was the startup money that he needed to buy a little bit of land, make a few tanks, get a few animals, a few people, and that is how it all began. But this story isn't all about the animals. No, it sounds like he also decided to screw over some humans as well. In 2004, Marineland bought the Green Oaks Mobile Home Park. It was just across the street, and the plan was to relocate maintenance buildings to that site, especially if they were developing it and it was growing larger. He would need basically more space.
Though, as you can see on the map here, Green Oaks Mobile Home Park was pretty damn small compared to what he already owned. Where I've put the big M is the whole of Marineland, and then just towards the left it says Green Oaks.
But who did he tell these plans to? Did he tell the tenants that lived there? Because in 2009 he evicted 47 families. What about the people that he bought the park from? Did he tell them what he was doing? Because maybe they may have changed their minds and not sold to him, especially if they knew that eventually all these families would be evicted. They were given 18 months to relocate their mobile homes. And when you think about mobile homes, you probably think, oh, they're the ones that can be moved. But only if a mobile home has been in one place for more than 10 years can it be considered as being permanent. And some had been there for more than 40 years. Also, it would be very expensive. The cost to hire a mover, which looks similar to this, would be roughly around $8,000 to $15,000. And also they would need a special permit in order to drive this down the road, which of course would cost more. Plus, at the time, no trailer parks were available to take them. So even if they were able to move, where would they move to? And in most cases, the foundations or the skirting around them were meant to be permanent. And according to the City of Niagara Falls, mobile homes are considered a permanent residence. And that is why the tenants wanted to fight against Holler. But of course, most of them actually went into bankruptcy, which is very sad. And the only compensation they got was $3,000. which is nothing compared to what they spent on renovating these houses. It's not like they can sell it. They've literally got to leave their entire livelihoods behind, including all of the money that they've put into renovating these places. It's just all gone down the drain. And I heard in quite a few cases they would have to move in with other family members because it was too late in life to start over again. Now, Brian Topolinsky, who was one of the families that were evicted, he decided to create a website called Gohomeless.ca. And it says, leading up to the eviction, Holler was seen driving around the park up to 4 or 5 times a day, which is basically harassment, and it's slightly intimidating. You're already kicking these families out, so just leave them alone. Many of the families appealed to the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board, but unfortunately they lost their case and was ordered to move off the property by March 2010. But some continued to fight Marineland, but also had to leave in 2011. Holler was ordered to pay $11,000 each to several tenants for harassment. At least they managed to squeeze just a little bit more money out of him, even though he was worth quite a lot more. Brian actually set up a YouTube channel as well, which I discovered a few days ago. I mean, nothing's been posted for a long time, not since this all happened, but I left a little message anyway, just to sort of say, I'm so sorry this happened to you. And if you wanted to show your support as well, I'll leave his YouTube details down below. And in the video, I actually see a couple of men sort of smashing up one of the houses. I thought, oh, what's going on? And what it was, I think quite a lot of the tenants there, they didn't want to leave anything behind that was of value. And so they basically smashed everything up. And I can imagine being that angry and having to leave my home, I would probably do the same. I know some people say smashing things up can be a form of therapy, so I wonder if that's what they were trying to do. You know, you're taking away my home, so I'm basically going to leave it in such a state, you know, because this is our livelihood and we now have absolutely nothing left. But here's the sting. Here is the ultimate sting. 2 years after this happened, he had done nothing with the land. And I'm going to show you some pictures now. It's basically a graveyard of mobile homes. And it's actually a bit like a ghost town, really. Very eerie. So Connie and Brian Topolinsky, they actually moved into their home in July 2006, and they had invested more than $50,000, and they even installed a pool in their backyard. As I said, a lot of these people have been living there for many years. There was a Second World War veteran, people on disability, and an 84-year-old man who was blind and had lived there for a very, very long time. So no wonder they were extremely annoyed. So I went onto the Go Homeless website, and this is what one of the tenants had written. We then went back to the tribunal exactly 1 year later and filed for bad faith, since Marineland has done nothing with the homes in the park since we left. And then right at the bottom it said, I will be updating this in the next couple of weeks with all our evidence and the orders from the Landlord and Tenant Board. Everyone will now be able to see and judge for themselves as to what happened to us. It is very clear to us that there is more to this that we are unaware of. You will see what power and money can accomplish. And another shocking story that came out of this, surprise, surprise. One of the tenants was found in her trailer. Her name was Paula Millard, and unfortunately she committed suicide, and she was only 63 years old. Niagara Falls Review said that neighbours weren't surprised. She couldn't afford to move. She had nowhere to go. This was her life. And Brian Topolinsky told a Marineland administrator and their lawyer that Millard may have been thinking of doing this. But later, when Holler was asked if he knew beforehand that a tenant might be committing suicide, guess what his response was? No comment. And then he drove off. And I just think, wow. Even if you're just lying to everyone, you'd at least say, oh, yeah, I know. We're all really upset about it. Even if it sounded condescending, even though you would know that he was lying through his teeth, most people would try to cover up their feelings. But he just didn't. No comment, and drove away. I just don't know how you can not respond. Now, this is actually a message that Paula left behind. A blessing on John Holler. May you get exactly what you deserve, tenfold. I think she actually wrote this on her wall. And then underneath it says, some of us held on and took the landlord Marineland of Canada to the Landlord and Tenant Board. After several hearings and much evidence, they still sided with Marineland of Canada. On March the 31st, 2011, the new date of our eviction, Paula Millard took her own life. So it seemed he didn't really care much about animals, but also human life also didn't really seem to bother him. But, oh, hold on, there was one family that wasn't evicted. Oh my gosh, does that mean he's got compassion? Well, for his own family, it was actually his son who was still living in one of those mobile homes and decided not to kick him out. And now, still to this day, it's empty. He has done nothing with it.
And that's pretty much the hairstyle done. You can just decorate it with a pretty clip. I like twisting the bits on the side as it seems to shape my face quite nicely, and it gives a different length at the bottom.
I miss you, though you've been in my life for 2 days.
Okay, now back to the story.
You've gone through a lawsuit, you've had to fork out a bit of money, you know, it's gone on for a long time, all of that aggro, and you didn't do anything with the land. It almost makes me think, why on earth did he go through all of that? Did he want to fight? Did he think, oh, I've got loads of money, I'll win, so, you know, yeah, let's give it a go. I'm bored, I have nothing else to do. So let's just see what money and power can do for me. As I said, quite a lot of the comments that he would leave if people were trying to interview him would either be no comment or he would just drive off. But I did find that he did respond once, and it was at PETA Animal Foundation, and they also thought the response was fairly chilling. And he said, for people and all living things, there is a time to live and a time to die. Well, I think that pretty much just sums him up as a person in general, doesn't it? I don't even know what I can add to that. What's quite interesting though is a year after all the tenants left, there was an arson fire, and that was in 2012, and Marineland has been ordered to secure the site. I wondered what happened there. Sounds like a bit of karma to me. And there was another person that he decided to file a lawsuit against, and this was Zach Affolter. He was a 19-year-old marine biology student, and he basically created a short film called Black Water. And it was about Kiska, who's the last remaining orca at Marineland. And it's kind of from her point of view. So like if a whale had a voice. And it goes on for roughly around 9 minutes. And it is very dark, as in it's just very depressing, which I guess is kind of what he was hoping for. But the voice is extremely irritating after a while.
Helplessly, watching all of the broken pieces rise above me, reminding me of everything I've lost. Why must darkness embrace the world so tightly? My lungs beg for oxygen.
And you kind of get the gist after 5 minutes. It kind of starts to repeat itself. So yes, it's probably not something that I would need to watch again. But I think where he was coming from was these are very intelligent creatures. So what are they thinking when they're just circling this tank? So hopefully it has, you know, made people stop and think. So yeah, I think after a while it was a bit of overkill, but very well put together. I mean, the visuals were beautiful. You know, I know it's all meant to be like in the mind and being depressed and everything like that. So I think it was well put together. The pictures and the videos that he used, Marineland weren't happy because he didn't get consent for it. But Zach said, you know, I didn't do it for any financial gain. It was just a passion project. He also wanted to sue former trainer Christina Santos, who had worked at the park for 12 years. She apparently spoke to the Toronto Star about the condition of Kiska. Apparently she had been bleeding from her tail since July, and she was getting worse right up until she got fired in October.
And if you look closely, you'll be able to see she's bleeding from the left side of her tail.
And I think that's quite a long time for a wound not to be healing properly. And then Marineland said, oh, it's normal. Yeah, it's fine, it's normal. What, to be bleeding from a tail for like 3 months? I don't think so. And then their favourite lawyer, Andrew Burns, told the Star that it was completely inaccurate and false. All those details were just false. Nothing else, not like statements from anyone else, just, yeah, she made it up. And you think, but there are so many overwhelming pieces of evidence against Marineland, and you're still trying to stick up for them. That must have been a difficult job. In the end, there were 8 whistleblowers made up of former trainers and supervisors. 15 staff working at Marineland gave 15 accounts of animal cruelty. And apparently Christine Santos was asked before she left to sign a bit of paper saying, I've never seen any animal cruelty whilst working here. And if it's true and that did actually exist, you know, there's no way she would have signed it. Marineland also threatened OSPCA, Ontario Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, with a lawsuit. They were going to publish a story that John Holer did not appreciate. They went ahead and published it anyway, and luckily they never received a lawsuit. And guess what? SeaWorld actually took Marineland to court once to try and get back a whale they had lent for breeding. There were health concerns and whether or not their whale was actually being looked after properly. So it seems Holler was trying to sue everyone, left, right and centre, because I guess he thought, I've got all the money to do it, pay all the legal fees, so yeah, I'm probably going to win.
Marineland in 1961.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
They sued me for $1.5 million. They sued my girlfriend. They sued other activists. They sued newspapers. They're suing everybody.
So now we're going to talk about Phil Demers, because they filed a lawsuit against him as well, you know, because why not? And that was for 1.5 million, because apparently he was plotting to go into the park and steal Smooshy, which is this gorgeous walrus who had a really unique relationship with Phil. And I will actually show you a couple of clips because I haven't seen anything quite like this before.
Animal behavior experts call it imprinting, the bond that usually occurs between animals and their newborns. Phil figures that Smooshy mistook him for her mom, even though she was 18 months old when they first met in 2004. Smooshy still responds to his voice.
I'm in here, my moosh. Good girl, moosh. Right here. What do you want?
Making it kind of hard to get any work done. But if Smooshy sees Phil as her mother, sometimes it's more like he's her boyfriend. Watch what happens when Phil's real girlfriend gets a little too close.
Oh, hey, Christina.
Okay. It seems no one gets between Smooshy and her man.
So he was willing and ready to fight back no matter what. And he denied everything that they were saying. I mean, I do understand though, if I had an animal friend, you know, that was not being treated particularly well, I'd probably think about, I'd love to go in and steal them. But thinking and doing are two very, very different things. And I have actually seen that there's a kind of documentary movie that's come out, and I think it's called The Whistleblower. No, The Walrus and the Whistleblower. And I definitely want to watch that because I think it's about Phil and obviously his unique relationship with the walrus. But you still think, how did the park not get shut down? At some point, you know, you'd think with all of these things going on that it should have been shut down. You know, he took so many homes away from people, and yet he just sat there in luxury with all of his money. And yeah, there is, as I said, there's a lot of evidence, and oh dear, I don't know whether to show this or not. I will, but I'm going to warn you. It's really horrible. There's just this clip. I'm not necessarily sure who is, you know, behind the camera, but it's where certain food is stored and animals that are no longer alive just kind of piled up in a corner. So if you're a bit squeamish about that sort of thing, I would look away now. So it was in 2017 that Marineland was charged with 11 counts of animal cruelty. And guess who decided not to turn up to court? Yep, John Holler. I guess he just decided that he didn't need to be there. My lawyers will sort it out. My money will sort it out. So no problem. It's fine.
On November 10th, 2016, the Ontario SPCA responded to concerns brought forth regarding some of the animals living at Marineland. An investigation was launched, and on November 25th, 2016, Marineland was charged with 5 counts of animal cruelty and neglect under the Ontario SPCA Act. This investigation has been extensive, and as a result of the evidence that has been revealed during the investigation process, today, the Ontario SPCA served Marineland with an additional 6 counts of animal cruelty under the Ontario SPCA Act, totaling 11 counts of animal cruelty and neglect.
So this man is actually no longer with us. He died at the age of 83. And I think that's quite a good age to go. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there wish that he had gone earlier, perhaps. But I'm just hoping that wherever he is not having a good time, basically. So that is the end of Marineland. I feel like it has consumed my life for quite a while, actually, and it just completely wasn't expected at all, because I was meant to be talking about Free Willy, which is Keiko, who lived at Marineland for a very long time. So I was meant to be talking about a completely different thing and ended up talking about this park instead. But next episode will be about Free Willy, and that is quite a unique and special story. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this hairstyle. It's kind of simple, but when you're doing the bun and you've left out those 2 pieces of hair, because of course those are the bits you're going to braid, you do sort of have to move them to the side a bit more, because then you want it to loop round. And I know one of mine slid into the middle, and sometimes I had to take out one of the pins in order to move the hair back round again and then sort of repin.